Good evening, everyone. We're going to talk about some club basics. And again, because it's been just a while since anything was done from TLI, whatnot, and I've had a couple of email questions about it, I thought, let's go ahead and start at the beginning again and see how this all works. So what you're going to see now is my screen. And I'm going to go back to club meetings. Most of what we do when we promote our clubs, it starts with our website because our website becomes the portal or the gateway for what everybody will see. One of the things I wanted to show you while we're here, I'll get to our homepage shortly. This is my home club. Number of people that actually have turned their profiles on. It's a misnomer from Free Toast, and I'm not really sure how the other two platforms work, but it might be something to check. When you're using Free Toast, when you make a profile, it should automatically put in our profiles being turned on. And when I walked a new member through this last week, it looked like her profile was already turned on, and for some reason it was not. So once she turned it on, she saw everything and it was good to go. So when you put your profile in, or when you're helping onboard a new member with their profile, just make sure, even though it looks like it's turned on, make sure that make sure that the profile is turned on. That's what they'll see on this home screen here. And they can add as many social links as they want. We have people that have none, and then we have people like me that go overboard, but they can share as much as they want or as little as they want. Their education will show. If they're a club leader, that will show. This lets people know, much like Meetup, if you have more than 2 or 3 people, oh, this looks like a meeting I want to go to. If you see 2 or 3 people, they might get the impression, oh, that's why they want me to join, huh? So we want to keep it positive as possible. And I realize some people may not want to share, and that's fine. If they don't have a picture or they want to put that up like Amanda here, that's fine. But as long as they have something there that at least shows more interest by the membership, that helps usually. Now from the home page, one thing that I noticed on a couple of the websites in the last couple of months, no one ever really does much with their home page. And I know one of Martha's a lot of work with theirs. And a couple of clubs at Algramondo works, actually 6 of them, they work with it on a regular basis. This size here I found that worked best was 1,200 pixels wide. And then however deep you want to make it. But that way you can tell people, hey, you're invited to come to our meeting, here it is. We actually created this graphic when we moved from a Thursday to a Tuesday, and it was enough to get everybody's attention. And then you have your information down at the bottom. But the one thing I know that kind of tends to catch people is this whole image area here. If you have admin privileges, you can create a graphic in a program that I'll introduce in a couple of weeks that's at least 1,200 pixels wide, and that should fit in here to do whatever. You can promote an open house. You can promote your speech contest that'll be coming up in the spring. You can promote someone winning their DTM or their ACS, something that helps shine the club and shine on what's going on that's positive and fabulous in the club. Other than that, make sure your meeting directions are up to date and your information. I actually had a club in my own division that they changed their location or their meeting day and time. They moved to a Saturday once a month, and their meeting information was not updated. People will come here next. You have to make sure that this stays as consistent but as updated as possible with the information. And then everything else, you work with your admin. If you don't have the admin privileges, work with them to see what pages could we create. It'll add it to the menu for the people to see. This is a public-facing menu. And for our club, we chose to put up our lectern etiquette, a Toastmasters promise, a video that we had. These are all things that we decided to make public facing so that way people know what to expect in our club. We also have our club officer roles and responsibilities, our meeting role as well. With some clubs, they have a very long public facing menu. Some of them have put up a lot of photo galleries, whatnot. It depends on what your club officers want to do, but I would have that conversation with them.
It's too loud.
Of course, is the meeting members only area, which you can also add information to. I think I added the distinguished club status for our club. So once you're logged in, you can click down here. It describes our members, what is the Distinguished Club Program? What is DCP? We hear about it. What is it? So it gives a description with a link to our DCP chart. They click the link, they get the chart. I tried to make that as simple as possible. So just some suggestions there as to what you can add for the member side as well. And then, of course, our social links where your club can be found. If you're on Meetup, if you're on wherever they can find you at. The next one, when you're promoting your club, isn't necessarily to go automatically to a social media channel. I would start looking at what kind of information you have to greet a guest with. Do you have enough flyers that talk about, say, Find Your Voice, for example? How do you have your guest packets set up? Before you start promoting anywhere else, make sure that you have the greeting information ready to go, including an updated membership application. That way, when you have the guests come in, you can greet them, you can introduce them to the Toastmasters in the room, sit them next to a seasoned Toastmaster, and hand them a guest packet with the agenda for that day, any information if they want to vote on, say, the best joke or the best table topic person or the best speech evaluator, and get them involved in that capacity with it. That way you can explain the meeting to them. They feel a little bit more warmed and welcomed because you're not just stuck in the cold, and then they have the information with your club's information on it to go take with them to go home. By putting your club's information on there, you're stamping it. It does come from Toastmasters International, but if you put your contact information on there and where your meeting is, they'll always know where it came from. I like to use white labels. Some of the information we have, like some of the really nice flyers, you can put a clear label on. But as long as it has, again, your club information on there, it will help tremendously with that. If you belong to an organization like we do, our club has actually been sponsored 10, 11 years ago now by WEMAR, which is the Western Maricopa Association of Realtors in the West Valley. They actually added our meeting and our open house and any other event we do to their calendar to help support us. If you have an organization that's willing to do that, that would be great. Just ask them. It's always going to be a no until you ask. And then if they do answer no, then at least you know from that point. When you have your agenda, we can do them online from the calendar. Usually the VPE will do that down here. You can do a printed out agenda, and then you can also add your meeting links there along with your address, with your website, and any other social information you want, or an email back to either your Vice President of Membership or to yourself, Vice President of Public Relations. Again, that way people know how to get a hold of you if they have any questions about your meeting. Now we can jump into, just briefly, Facebook and some, only because I've had a couple of questions come about with Facebook just today. Someone was trying to ask me a question about taking over a page. They didn't know who had it. It wasn't a page, it was a profile, unfortunately. So when we come to Facebook, one thing to look for is whether or not you see a page for a club like this. In this case, it wasn't. In fact, actually, I'm going to go to all. It actually ended up being a person they want you to add as a friend. You don't want to use a personal profile to advertise your club. First of all, Facebook doesn't like it and they'll shut it down. Second of all, you don't want people to friend you. You want them to follow you, or you want them to come to you as a group and ask for permission to enter the group. So either a group page or Facebook fan page works better. If your leadership changes quite a bit, as everybody's does, we change every year, then you might consider doing a group, so that way you have one admin or maybe a couple of admins helping you manage that, like we do with our District 3. If you're in a place or location that's not going to change and you've been there well, then a page might work, and that way you can give a nod back to the organization by checking in on Facebook, if that makes sense. So let me go there. And we won't do a deep dive into Facebook tonight because we'll save that total for a different subject, but just to see that, and this works the same on mobile, you can come to the page. Susan has enough coffee. Come on. There we go. And you can see we have it with logo, with our handle here, and you can make the handle shorter so that way people can remember it a little quicker, a little easier for that. If you're on the computer, it's a matter of going to the three dots And then, oh, it doesn't let me check in from a computer. Duh. Sorry, computer genius. When you're on your mobile, look for the same three dots. Once you navigate to a Facebook page, when you get to that three dots, you can then do a check-in and let people know where you're at and what you're doing. It's that simple, and that's another form of marketing for your club for that. With marketing, a lot of what we get questions about comes to how do we find our target market, and that's not easy. You know, even our club has faced a challenge with that. How do you find the market when you find it? Sometimes it's a seasonal thing. What I've been out networking about 10 years now, we have better luck getting members right towards the end of the year and about the first 2 months of the first quarter of the new year. Summertime, not always a great time to market because people go on vacation, especially if they have family. They don't always tend to attend a meeting for those reasons. They want to stay flexible in summertime. Second and third quarters, for some reason, or at least what we've seen up on the west end, I don't know about the east end, can get a little tricky just because, again, you're looking at reports, you've got other things that are going on with their organizations that they have to finish. It doesn't always work, but you just keep trying. And if you didn't work, think about the messaging. Was it warm and welcoming? Did you make it exciting and fun? Was it the timing? Could have been summertime and that's just an icky time to go try and market in your area versus say around December or January when people are very hot looking for meetings, looking to improve, looking to do something to change their goals so that way they can go after what they're trying to do and complete those goals. Those are all things to consider as well. Once you figure out what you're doing, you don't always have to do it online. You know, you can do a website, and I still think a website is the best place to start, but you don't have to stop there. And you don't always have to jump into social media, especially if you're not that kind of a person with that kind of a digital footprint. You may want to go talk to people and make an actual personal invitation to a business or to your media, local outlet, or an organization, and just ask them if they would send a person or a salesperson to come just check out the meeting and see what they have to offer. If you do decide to put up a social channel, like we did, see some that have been going up. You can post about your meeting, for example, such as who won the evaluator ribbon, who won the best topics ribbon. Again, did someone do something different that up? Put up our banner about our weekly meeting, and she also made an event page off of our page that tells people we have an open house coming up on the 23rd. See, there it is right there. So when you click on it, she's got a picture and she's got the information there. That tells your network what's going on, the network of people that are following you. When you share it to an email or when you comment on it in your personal profile, now your network personally knows what's going on. And this is what we encourage people to do. You didn't stop there. She emailed a flyer out to everybody and said, we know not everybody has a footprint. Can you send an email? Sure, we can do that. Absolutely. That way we increase the odds of getting people in to come see what the meeting is all about. And then it's up to us as good stewards of our club to make sure they're welcomed appropriately. She also has gone to a couple of the doors that we have connected to Weimar. We're in a strip center. Just knock on the door and introduce herself and say, hey, we're having this open house on the 23rd and we'd like to invite you and see what you think of our meeting. What she's hoping to gain from that is not just the familiarity of keeping Toastmasters in front of them, but reminding them that we're there. And if they'd like to come in, we have a welcome that's ready to open for them. So I'll get into these sizes here when we do our Facebook deep dive tonight. Another club that we have, and they did a really nice job, they could not get into their Facebook page back when I was here a couple of years ago. They went to Instagram the year I became a division director last year, and they decided to take this direction. So let's see. Oops, talks. There they are. What they do is they decide to use this almost like a Facebook page, but they always have their banner present, whether it's a group photo or just the people who win the ribbons, and they always display what's going on. They have a little write-up Here's what's going on. They've done hashtags, and we'll get into that when we do our deep dive for social. By doing this for 1 year, only channel they were on, they became President's Distinguished. So that doesn't mean that will happen to everyone, but it gave a better for them than what they were trying to do with their Facebook. It reached a different because people are very visual. That's something else to consider, to try. And if you don't have that footprint, this would be a good time to recruit an assistant to help you that does have that footprint. Let them worry about the social aspect while you're doing the website and the flyers and some email. And between the two of you, then you've created a footprint for the club that will help attract the audience that you're looking for. And that also gives you a go-to person to take over your job next year. That's always thinking ahead for transition. And now is never too early. They have an active link for their web. And you can see when they started last year, they had nothing. Now they have 228 followers and only posts. They've done a tremendous job with that. So I just want to bring that out so everybody can see that. What I'd like to do is ask everyone what they're doing currently to try and promote their club. And let's do some question Q&A back and forth. Martha's on. I know she's done a tremendous amount of publicity and PR work. And if there's something I can't answer, I'm going to go to her if she's okay with that. And we together then can do a brainstorm to see what else can we do. First, I'd like to ask, how many people are here that are in a closed club?
I'm in a closed club.
Okay, David?
For one of them. Yeah, for one of my clubs.
Okay, and the other club is open?
2 of the other ones are open.
Okay, I'm going to stop share for just a minute. Okay, is there anyone else that's in a closed club? No? Okay. David, I know some of the things we're talking about may not work for a closed club, and I get that. What are you doing in your closed club, and what is the challenge that you're having other than the fact that you're working with the members of that organization?
So for the closed club, I am doing a 4-page newsletter monthly, and I'm putting that out and putting it on our main desk.
Terrific. Is that getting a good response, or have you measured the response?
That club constantly makes Presidents Distinguished, and we have probably 2 or 3 new members every couple months.
So you constantly make Presidents Distinguished. So what can we learn from you?
I don't know that it's not necessarily me that's doing it, but we just have a very good club base, and they're out there talking to other people.
Okay, that's good. And they're actively looking at recruiting people. Is that correct, David?
Yes, all the officers actually go around and they talk to people, and they're always trying to recruit new people.
Do they have any kind of a card, like a business card or something where they can give out their own contact information, but then it also has the club's information to bring back? Almost like a referral slip, but not quite a referral slip?
Not in this club, because we have a website where we can get everybody's contact information.
That's true. Do you use Yammer at the corporate level by chance?
No, not this.
Okay, cool. One club I ran into as I did my division director rounds last year, they actually had what looked like an oversized business card, almost like a postcard, small. And they had their club information on there, but on the back they could write out their personal information, so the name and the phone number, and give it to them. So that way they had a contact person within the club, but then they also had the club's information on there to get back to. So kind of like an oversized referral card, but it worked out for them really well. I think they were select distinguished last year. So that's another option to consider. Who else is having any other challenges, or what questions do you have that we can answer for you tonight? Anyone? Okay. Our next
Lisa,
session, yes?
If for anyone out there who's setting up their club websites, and I'm in 3 clubs and there's a lot of websites, not every club is in a meetup. Not every club has a Twitter account or a Facebook account. Can you give any advice to setting up the Free Toast website so that you still maximize the amount of use of the links for all the social media?
I would link them then to the club or the district's website, as far as the district's YouTube page, the district's meetup page. that was set up last year by the previous administration. Terrific tool. If your club wants to be on there, I can walk them through. In fact, I can send out the information guide again as to how to get on there for that. I would take advantage also at that point then of Google. Google at that point will be your friend. What you do then is you would add strategic pages, maybe even a media page, so that way people on the outside can learn more about your club, what's going on, what happened this week or this month, depending upon how often you want to add those pages. What I would do is add them the same day and the same time, either each week or each month, depending upon, again, what your leadership team decides to do. That will train Google then to go look for the fresh content on that day, on that time, on a regular basis. David Hopper actually did a class on that, if I recall, and he said in a message just now he can provide the PowerPoint for that. David, that would be awesome. Thank you. Would that be a PDF?
It's actually a PowerPoint. I can make it a PDF, but it's currently a PowerPoint, and I can send it to you, and you can send it out to everybody.
Okay. If you can send both, that would be great, because I know some people like me, we have different versions of Excel, of PowerPoint, of Microsoft in general. And this way, it doesn't depend on someone having the right version of PowerPoint. They can still read it in a Adobe Acrobat Reader then. So yep, I can definitely help with that. Would that help everyone here?
Sure.
Okay, great. Now his class was a deep dive into free Toast. I'll send that out. If you still have questions, please let me know, or I can connect you directly with David. I think he might be near you. And that way, he can give you some one-on-one, or maybe even stop by the club and then work with you. I won't volunteer him directly because I know he's busy, but he can reach out to you then as far as that goes, and then see what else between both he and I, how we can help you get up and going on that. It's a big job, and not every club that has a website also has an active admin, so I commend you for doing that, especially for 3 clubs. My goodness, that's a lot. Are there any other questions at this point? We've got about 4 minutes left. This platform gives me only 40 minutes worth of time. One of the things that I want to do, and if we can get to a paid level, we can increase the time to an hour. Having said that, I don't want to violate anybody's time, because we all have family, other things that we do, and we don't like to go to meetings a lot. But I know marketing is always something that stumps people. As I outlined in my email, the one thing I want to do is reach as many people as possible without having to get in the car to drive to Tucson, or to drive to Flagstaff or Kingman. And not that I don't like everybody up in Tucson or Kingman or Flagstaff, but I felt this would be a good way for everybody to get on and see what's going on. And if the clubs are in the outlying areas, to meet you and say hi. Does this platform work with everyone? Is everyone hearing okay?
Yes, the only concern I have, Lisa, you do have it set up pretty frequently. That schedule is not an ideal schedule. In the previous administration, we did have the meetings once per month, and I just don't see how we can continue to do them once every week. It's too much to do with all the other things that are on the schedules.
That's true. And if people can't attend, what we have then is the recording that people will be able to get from the YouTube channel once Dawn helps me get that set up. So if they can't go, they can still get the information. And that's a good point to bring up, because I may not be able to do it. If I have to cancel one, I'll let everybody know ahead of time. But going into what we have coming up for the speech contests and whatnot, and because this has been such a hot button, I wanted to make sure that we gave enough information that's there. If people then decide that they're done and they've got their fill, then we can stop the meetings at any time. But that's a good point, though. Thanks for the reminder.
Hey, Lisa, this is Heidi Capriati. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Heidi. Hi.
I know I see the clock counting us down, so I know I don't have a lot of time. But one question I would have for this group is, what happens for people who have Facebook pages that they don't own and can't get admin rights to? And I could take this offline if you want to respond to me via email.
Is it under the control of a member at the moment that may not be a member anymore?
That's my guess. I've tried to message them, but no response.
There's a form that you fill out for Facebook where they can turn it back to you, and I can send that link to you, and we can take that then offline. But that would be the first place to start. That's where I start with a lot of my clients in the last 5 years, where they've had the same problem. we've had to fill out a form to let Facebook then take it over, approve the information that really does belong to the club in this case, and then they'll turn it back over to you.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Lisa.
Any other questions anyone can think of right now? If not, you can drop an email to me, or you can message me on my phone. I'll give you guys my number. You can get me a text message, or I'm on Messenger as well on Facebook. If you want to shoot me a text message, my number is 602-423-2106. And given what I do, you can probably find me on almost any channel. So don't be afraid to reach out. This is a whole big thing, especially when it comes to the social end. What we want to do, though, is make sure that we get as many people marketing as possible. Just move the needle one notch. You don't have to do everything that we suggest or everything that we brainstorm together with. But if you move the needle with one thing, and that helps move your club to get 4 more members, 5 more members, that's the accomplishment. And then the last thing I would suggest is that whatever your efforts are that you're doing, make sure you measure how well it does or doesn't work. That will be the only way that you really know whether or not it did work, whether or not you want to put effort back into it. So if you have a campaign that you're doing for a month, see how well it does, how much visibility you gave it, and how much it gave you. And then talk it over with your leadership team and see if that's something you want to do. Because our 40 minutes are up. Thank you very much. If you found this was good, let me know. Let me know what other topics that you have a curious, burning desire that you'd like to know about, and we will get them addressed with you. Thank you all, everybody. Appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.